Check, check, check. This is a test. I'm testing the mic, testing the mic. Check, check, check. This is a test. I'm testing the mic, testing the mic. Testing the mic volume. Testing
Check,
1,
check,
2.
Check. This is a test. Testing the mic, testing the mic,
Come on, y'all. Come on, come on, come on.
Yo, what's up, guys? Looks like a couple people are in here. Hopefully you can hear me. I've been using Twitch for the last couple weeks, but I decided to try YouTube for a little bit. It looks like Tim. What's up, Tim? So for those of you who don't know, Tim Flansbaum is a recording engineer. He's one of my guys that helps me with the This Is Hardcore mixing and mastering. I think Tim came on last year or this year. I don't remember what year you started. But yeah, Tim did a handful of sets this past year, and they're really good. And I'm really hoping he'll have time to help out this year. So, so for those of you who don't know, basically for like big fests like This Is Hardcore, I hire my friend Len Carmichael from Landmine Studios. He's based in New Jersey, and he brings a multi-track recording rig to the fest and basically records all 16 some channels basically. And so one of the reasons why those videos take so long to come out is basically we have to have all those soundboard feeds mixed and mastered professionally. So Len does a bunch, Tim does a bunch. We also have Jeremy Eager and a couple other guys that help out. And so basically not one person's doing everything, but everyone does a little bit, and that slowly gets everything done. Yeah, okay. So Tim did a little bit in 2016, then did more last year, and is going to try to do more this year. So that's great. It's really exciting. One thing that Len and I talked about doing is we're going to probably, I get a lot of emails from people all the time asking, you know, can I help mix and master? Like, I'm a sound guy, I'm a sound engineer with experience. Can I participate in the mixing and mastering? So we get a lot of those requests, and like we have sort of like a standard in terms of how we want the audio to sound. So what we're going to do this year, we haven't announced it yet, so this is like the official announcement. We're going to have like a mini contest. So if anyone really wants to mix or master a band for This Is Hardcore, we'll give them like a sort of sample Pro Tools session, like basically like 2 or 3 songs that contain some of the issues that we encounter when we're editing these things. So anyone can, you know, download the session, work on a mix, and submit it, and then I'm going to try to sit down with Len, Tim, Jeremy, and a couple of other guys, and we're going to basically see who has the chops to basically do the mixes to our satisfaction. So that's a way to basically get more people involved, and also make it a little bit like not like a competition, but have it a little bit fun to do. All the while making sure that we're ensuring that we're getting the best quality out of the mixes. So we got 36 people watching. So I've been doing Twitch for the last couple weeks. I have 100 some subs on there, and typically only 10 or 15 people join in. So I felt like I have way more people subscribed on YouTube. So this is my first time doing a YouTube live session. So what I'm trying to do regularly, so now that, if you haven't heard, I signed up for Patreon. You'll see a little thing on the bottom corner. I'm basically trying to do hate5six full time. For the last 10 years, hate5six was basically something that I did outside of my regular job. So I'm trying to, I'm basically asking my fans, or people who can watch hate5six videos, to donate a little bit each month, just so I can continue doing this full time and not have to go back to my desk job. Because if I can do this full time, I can hammer out shit way more faster and film more stuff and travel more to film bands. So I've been doing this experiment for 2 weeks. It's going pretty well. I still have a long ways to go, but I'm hoping that the momentum picks up. So as part of that, I'm planning to do a lot of these live sessions where you can literally watch me edit videos in real time. So this is one way of showing you what's coming up. If you really want to sneak peek at it might take a couple weeks for a video to come up because I film so much, but these live sessions will give you at least a teaser about shows that I literally just filmed in the last couple days. I'm also doing it to I'm also doing this to also answer questions. If people have questions about filming shows or anything involved with hardcore or music in general, I'm happy to sort of use these live sessions as a way to answer people's questions. Yes, I am on Twitch. My Twitch handle is hate5six TV, the letters TV. Hate5six was taken for some reason, so I am hate5six TV. But if this ends up taking off more so than Twitch, I will probably switch to this. I don't know. I might mix it up here and there, but I'm trying to see how well the YouTube stuff does. What's up, Vladimir from Bogota? Good to see you. Oxal13 from Indonesia. Yeah, it's funny. I have a lot of viewers in Indonesia. I had no idea until the last few years that there were so many hardcore music lovers in Indonesia. I get messages all the time from people saying come out to film the show, or people sending me links from Indonesia about bands and tours that are coming through. So it's cool to see how global hardcore is. A lot of, at least I feel so I'm based in Philadelphia. I feel like a lot of people in Philadelphia don't really know. They don't really think about, there's literally people all over the world that are watching these videos, so it's cool. What's up, Slobodan from Serbia? Good to see you in here. So I'm going to go back to editing. So what I'm editing now, so on Sunday night I filmed 2 shows. There were 10 bands that played. It was 5 bands. There's a matinee show, which was 5 bands, and then an evening show, which was another 5. The first show was Cancer Priest from Delaware, Keonashi from Philadelphia, Paper Trail, they might have been from Virginia Beach, I think, and 0 Hour, and Race Trader headlined that. So that was the early show. I had about an hour and a half to kill after that, so I got some food, which I needed to do. It had been a long day. And the second show was Berthold City, which is Andrew Klein from Strife's new band. They were really good. Then it was Please Die, which is a local band from Philly. Very angry punk band. Their attitude is fuck your PMA. It gives you a sense of what they're about. Violent Society also played that. They were pretty good. FIREBURN. If you're not familiar with FIREBURN, it's Israel from Bad Brains. It's Todd Youth from Warzone, and they're really fucking good. So that's what I'm editing now. If you haven't heard FIREBURN, there's 1 or 2 FIREBURN sets on the site. If you want to check them out, you should. But I'll start playing this in a second. You can actually see what they're like, and they're really, really high energy. And then Kill Your Idols headlined the show, and they were good. During the Kill Your Idols set, they did a Warzone cover. So basically, a bunch of members of Warzone were at the show. Between Kill Your Idols and FIREBURN, they had a lot of original members, obviously except for Rabies. So they did Warzone cover, and everyone went crazy. It was pretty cool. Izzy did a Bad Brains cover during Killer Idols, so if I get to that today, you'll see that as well. Interestingly enough, HR from the Bad Brains was at the show. He and Izzy are good friends, and HR actually lives in West Philadelphia. So he was at the show, and he was hanging out backstage. Everyone thought he was going to come out and do a song, but he's not really in a condition right now to do that. So he was hanging out backstage, and just people were coming up and taking pictures, and he was just just there for the moment. So it was cool to see him. I have not seen him in a show in Philly, and I don't think I've ever seen him in a show here. So that was pretty cool. What's up, 215 live from Philly? Very cool. What's up, Orion? Yeah, so I was talking to the Knock Loose guys after the show. So if you haven't seen it, I posted a Knock Loose video a couple days ago. It already has like a crazy number of views. It has like 20,000 views after like 2 days, which is a lot for one of my videos after that short amount of time. And I've been meaning to film those guys for years now. It just never worked out, either because timing or touring. It didn't make sense. But they really killed it. And if you haven't watched that video, I suggest you do. That they're a band that causes a lot of controversy. People argue if they're hardcore, if they're not hardcore, if they're this or that. All I got out of it was they put on a great live show, and a lot of kids cared about it, and a lot of new kids came out to see them, and that's sort of the best thing you can ask for out of a band. They're sort of, whether you like it or not, they are bridging the gap, and they are bringing new people into the room and exposing new kids to other hardcore bands. So I see that as a positive for sure. Let's see, what else? I'm trying to go through some of the comments here. Madball was a good set. Blood for Blood was also a good set for sure. Hey, Reed, I'm talking about Knock Loose. I was basically saying that Knock Loose had a really good reaction last week when they played Philly. They headlined over Terror, and it was basically Knock Loose, Terror, Jesus Peace, You're the Knife, and Cast in Blood. I just posted the Terror set today, so that's on YouTube. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. But what I was saying was that Knock Loose, I consider them an important band. A lot of people think they're not hardcore. A lot of people don't like them, and that's like fine. Like, people have their own opinions, and I'm not telling you what to think. But what I was saying was that they are bringing new kids into the room. So kids that have only heard Knock Loose, they're so excited about them, but they'll come out to a Knock Loose headlining show, and they're going to see all the bands that are opening for Knock Loose. So I see that as a positive for bringing new kids and new faces and new blood into the scene. I think that's what we need. Call of Siddhartha spelled, I think, are you asking me the spelling of Knock Loose? It's Knocksked, Thomas Kazoya, hopefully I said that right, is asking what camera am I running. So I'm using a Canon XF100, which is what I'm using right now to do the stream. I've had it since 2011. It's getting pretty old, but it does what I need to do. It's not great in low light, but it works pretty well. I'm not shooting with any, it's 1080p. I'm not shooting with any log profiles. Basically, I'll film a show as is with general like default settings, and then I do a little bit of color correction. So what you'll see, I'm gonna stop talking in a minute, and I'm gonna go back to editing. So usually my process for editing these videos is, so let me be clear, this was a single camera, no soundboard for this. Basically, I had a single camera and I used my ambient mic. So for bigger fests and bigger shows, I'll hire a sound guy to record the soundboard, but for everything else, I just use an ambient mic. So my editing process is I import the audio and video, I sync them together, I do some audio adjustment. I basically do EQ and compression and a little bit of mastering just to make it sound a little clearer. And then I do a little bit of color correction. And so the color correction process is basically I adjust the RGB curves. I don't go overkill with it. If I wanted to, I could really, fuck with some log profiles and things like that. But for what I'm doing, I like to get stuff done out pretty quickly. And so I basically do a little bit of color correction just to boost some of the levels and adjust the shadows a little bit more. but that's basically it. What's up, AJ Ratchford? Thanks for tuning in. So we almost got 50 people in. So I'm gonna kill the mic. If people have questions, feel free to leave them in here, and I'll check in every now and then and answer some questions. But I'm basically going to show you what the editing process is like. And again, so this is FIREBURN. If you haven't heard, FIREBURN is ex Bad Brains and ex Warzone, and they're really fucking good. So I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna go back to editing, and hopefully you guys enjoy this. So that was the first, what was that? That was the first 5 minutes and 40 seconds of FIREBURN. So that gives you a sense of what they're like. Definitely like a Bad Brains feel. There's a couple songs later on the set that are more like reggae. I mean, they definitely don't shy away from that. So, yeah, it's cool. And like Jonathan said, it's cool to see bands diversifying. I definitely get sick of going to shows where every band sounds the same. So it's nice to be exposed to bands that I don't always like. I mean, I personally like this sound, but I enjoy filming bands that I don't really like musically, just because it sort of adds a little bit of diversity to the show. Like I think that makes it enjoyable to shoot. So what I'm doing now, so what's weird is, so I'm editing in Adobe Premiere CC 2018. So what I'm doing right now is I'm applying something called a parametric equalizer that basically allows me to select different frequencies in the audio, high end, mid range, or low end, and basically move them up or move them down to different amplitudes. So what I'm trying to do is I'm taking the raw audio that I have from my ambient mic, and I'm bumping up the high end so you can hear a little bit more of the vocals, and I'm trying to bump up a little bit of the low end so you hear some of the bass and the kick a little bit more. What's weird is, so Premiere, so this parametric equalizer is coming up as a pop-up. So it's a pop-up window, and for some reason I can't get the pop-up window to show up on my screen capture. So it looks like I'm just sitting here staring at the screen, but I'm literally just, I'm actually tweaking the EQ. So I've had this issue with Twitch and I couldn't figure it out, so for some reason it does not want to show up. But one day I'll figure that out. So what I'll do in a second is I will play the before and after, before the EQ adjustment and then after, and then hopefully you can hear it. And basically what I'm trying to do is make the audio sound a little bit clearer, make it sound a little bit more lively, and add just a little bit of a punch to it. Let's see, do I do multicam sequences for multicam events? I don't know what you mean by that. So for like bigger shows, like for This Is Hardcore, or like a big reunion show or big final show, I will multicam the show. So basically, I will have 3 to 4 other cameras running, and then I will use Premiere to basically sync up the audio, and then do multicam cuts between them. So what I'm going to do is, and actually, I mean, I might not have time tonight. One of the things that I'm working on right now is I started editing the Sound and Fury videos from 2017. For those of you who don't know, Chris Avis, who used to run Cavis Tapes, he was in charge of filming Sound and Fury for the last couple of years. He was sadly killed in a car accident in July. He was a friend of mine, and his family recovered his hard drive and they sent it to me, which I have here. I don't know if you can see it, but they sent me his hard drive, and I'm basically finishing his unfinished work. And so for Sound and Fury, he had like 5 cameras running. He had a camera on stage left, stage right. He had a GoPro on the drummer. He had a camera in the balcony, and then he had a fixed camera at the back of the room on a tripod, so you get a nice front view of the stage. So he has, for most of those sets, those are 5 angles, and I'm in the process of editing them. So what I'm going to be doing, if not tonight, then tomorrow on YouTube Live, I'm going to be going through and editing some more of that. So if you want to see how the multicam editing stuff works, I suggest make sure you tune in. I mean, I'm going to be doing these streams regularly, so you'll see all the steps that that are involved in editing and producing these videos. What's up? Oh, what's up, Abe Salcido? I don't know if that's the right way to say your last name, but I saw that you subscribed on Patreon, and I really appreciate that. That was a good thing to wake up to. I hadn't gotten any new subscribers in the last day or so, so that was the first one that I saw today. I was really excited, so thank you so much for that. There's about 38, 40 people in here. If you haven't heard, so there's a link at the bottom of the screen, patreon.com/hate5six. I started a Patreon recently, basically so I can try doing hate5six full time. So I'm asking people to donate, small donations every month, just so I can pay my electricity bill, pay for my rent, things like that, and put food on the table. What I did on, so one of the things that you get, if you're a Patreon subscriber, there's certain benefits that you get. So Patreon subscribers can help determine, so basically every day a new video is released on hate5six.com and also on YouTube. And it's completely controlled by viewers. So how it works is, if you're a Patreon subscriber, you have voting rights, and you can vote for what videos you want to see next. So if you go on hate5six, you can see a running list of all the videos that are ready to be released. And if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can go on there and you can actually vote. And every morning, the video with the most votes gets released. So the entire site is completely controlled by the community at this point. So this is a way of encouraging people to sign up and support the project, support the site. The other thing, there's going to be other benefits that I'm adding. You get early access to certain videos. So I think yesterday night I posted on Patreon a link to the Count Me Out video. So Count Me Out played a reunion show last week in Richmond, which I went down for. So if you're a Patreon subscriber, you can log on Patreon and get early access to that. So we're about 2 weeks into the Patreon thing. It's going pretty nicely. There's still a lot of work to do, but I'm hoping I can get there. But there's a lot of benefits. Like I said, you can control what videos come out next. You can vote for what bands get multicammed at Big Fest. So pretty soon I'll launch like a poll for Patreon subscribers. You can tell me what bands you think should be multicammed at This Is Hardcore this year. And the other big thing is I give you early access to certain videos before they go before they get publicly released on YouTube and on the actual site. So if you have any other feedback for how to make Patreon better, I'm definitely open to it. So yeah. But anyway, I'm gonna go back to editing the set. So what I'm gonna show you next is a before and after. So I'm gonna play like 5 or 10 seconds worth of the audio without the EQ, without the parametric EQ. Then I'll turn it on, and hopefully you can hear the difference. So I'm going to back. All right. So I'm gonna mute my mic and let you listen to this. So I toggled it back and forth a couple times. Hopefully you heard what I'm talking about. So before, it sounds like really like a little muffled and a little like closed. And so what the EQ, and again, I can't show you because it's a pop-up and I can't figure out how to make it show up on the stream, but what the EQ is doing is I'm bumping up the high end so you can hear a little bit more of the vocal, a little bit more of the just sort of like ambient sound of the room, just so it feels more like you're actually in the room watching it when you're seeing the video. I bump up the mids and I bump up the low end a little bit so you get more of the bass and sort of the heavier end. Full disclosure, I am not an audio engineer, so I'm sure that the things that I'm doing are wrong, but this is what works for me, and I really need to sit down with people like Tim and people like Len and Jeremy and actually learn from them how to do this properly, because I basically just started fucking around one day with the EQ like back in 2011, and I was like, oh, this works pretty well. And that's sort of part of my process for editing these videos. So it might behoove me to actually sit down and learn the proper way of doing this. But this is how I work. So I have the EQ is basically done. I'm going to do a little bit more EQ adjustment. So basically the process is I'm going to finalize the EQ. I'm going to do a little bit of compression, and then some very basic mastering. And basically for the compression and the mastering, I'm going to basically apply some presets that Premiere has. I don't want to go overkill with that. I'm going to do that, then I'm going to do some basic color correction, and then what I do is I save all of those adjustments as a preset, and then I apply that preset to all the bands that play the same show. It basically, you know, I'll spend a lot of time on the headliner or the two headlining bands. I'll get those settings right, and then I'll apply those settings to the opening bands. And because the lighting and the sound doesn't really change, I don't really need to change much. So that's a way for me to save time in terms of editing. So I'm going to go back to just tweaking the EQ a little bit more, and then I'm going to go right into the compression and the mastering step.
Brand new tune, man. Hey, if y'all know the EP, I want to hear y'all sing it. Put up your hand if you're feeling alright. Put up your hands if you're feeling alright. Let me tell you. Feel like you make me feel darling. Feel Yeah. Want to thank y'all. You know, black and white, brown, yellow, whatever you call it, sir. Man, red inside, you know. We're red inside. One blood, you know. So it's family, one creation.
All right, so I have pretty much the audio where I want it. I applied, again, just to recap, I applied a parametric equalizer, a multi-band compressor, and basic mastering as well. One of the other things that I do is, so I basically use one of these things, a different version of this to record the audio for the shows. So this is a Zoom H4n. It's a digital audio recorder. This is what I used for a couple years. I'm using the H6, which is what I'm using right now to talk to you guys. And so this normally just sits on top of the camera. So and these are two sort of directional condenser mics. So this sits on top of the camera. So when I'm like panning to the right to the crowd, because these are directional, you're hearing more of the crowd. And when I pan to the left, you hear more of the band. So what ends up happening is, typically I like shooting from stage right. So I'm standing here, the band is to my right, or sorry, the crowd is to my right and the band is to my left. So what ends up happening is the left channel sounds much louder because I'm facing the amps and things like that. So one thing that happens is, or when I'm sort of editing these videos, I basically need to, ideally the mic would be sitting somewhere in the center of the room, maybe hanging from the ceiling, pointing at the stage, but that's not always doable. Plus, like, if something were to happen, if the batteries were to run out, or I need to restart it, like, it's much easier for this to be on me. So that's why the non-soundboard videos tend to sound like the way they do. It's like the perspective of the video is literally how I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it much louder in my left ear than I am in the right ear. But when I'm editing, just to sort of compensate for it, I bump up the right channel just a little bit, just to even it out. It's a little bit of a hack. It's not perfect, but it works good enough for me. What's up, Bradley Smith, for tuning in. Papa Chubby, big ups on the Code Orange video. Thank you so much for that one. Yeah, it's like every Code Orange video goes viral. It's great, and I have not had the chance to see them recently, so hopefully I can shoot them again soon. Okay, so I don't know if Jesse's still tuned in, but he was just asking about the multicam stuff. Yeah, so what I end up doing is I sync the videos and then I nest them, and then I do a multicam cut on the nested sequence. So maybe later tonight or tomorrow when I'm back on here, I'm going to do a multicam cut of, I don't know, I have plenty of multicam stuff to edit. So I'll actually tell you what multicams I'm working on. I have multicam stuff for All Else Failed, Boy Sets Fire, I Hate You, Railhead, Shark Attack, King 9, Crime Watch, and Outburst, and then basically everything from Sound and Fury is all multicam. So I have plenty of multicam stuff that's coming out. So if you're interested in seeing that process, or if you're watching and you notice that I'm doing something wrong, let me know. These live streams are meant to be like a conversation. You know, I know what works for me. I'm not I've never taken a formal class on video or audio editing, so I'm sure that there are things that I'm doing that are wrong, but they seem to work well for me. But hopefully people are engaged in these streams. They'll pick out certain things or let me know of new techniques and things like that that I can do to either make editing more efficient or make my videos better. So yeah, I am open to that type of feedback for sure. What I'm trying to do now that I have the audio basically where I want it, I'm trying to do some very basic color correction. And for a show like this where it's, you know, one camera, it's not a big fest, it's not a big, super big show, I'm basically going to be adjusting the curves. So RGB curves are basically the red, green, and blue channels. If you're not familiar with how color works, but basically like RGB, red, green, and blues are the main sort of colors that you are concerned about when you're sort of doing these sort of color corrections. But so on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see these curves. So this white line is the master, which is basically you can think of it as RGB combined. It's basically how bright or how dark the video is going to be. It's a very gross description of it, but that's generally what it means. Red allows you to boost the allows you to boost the reds in the image. So things like Izzy's hat and things that can, I mean, you know, this shirt has a little, even though this shirt is yellow, there is some red in there as well. So when I tweak it, you're going to see that you'll see it change a little bit. So, you know, if you remove a lot of the reds, the video goes more towards like teal and green. So what adjusting the RGB curves allows you to do, it allows you to basically adjust the intensity of the of these color channels. So what I end up doing is, let me see if I have it. I don't know if I filmed a show there a couple weeks back, and I don't know if I saved the profile. Oh, I did. Okay. Yeah. So what I'm going to end up doing for this set, I'm basically going to bump up this master channel just so it's not as dark. So basically, if I pull this master down, you're going to see the video get really dark. But if I bump it up, it brightens it up a little bit. But I don't want to go too bright because if you look closely, let me zoom in. If I go too bright, it adds a lot of this noise. You can see a lot of this grain, and I don't want that. And some of that is from just the you know, every camera has built-in noise. So I don't want to go too hot because otherwise it's gonna over emphasize that noise. So I'm gonna bump it up just like this is the this is like the baseline. This is what it looks like without any sort of tweaking, but I'm gonna bump it up a little bit. I don't get too concerned about, I mean, what you're gonna see is once I'm done doing the RGB curves, you're still gonna see some noise. But what happens is when you upload a video online, and when you upload a video to YouTube or Vimeo or whatever, YouTube or Vimeo, they will compress the video to make it smaller, make it, you know, convert it into a streamable format, one that you can actually play on your browser. And when you compress a video, you tend to lose some information. So a lot of that means you'll lose some detail. You might lose a little bit of detail in the shadows. But one of the more positive effects that I see from web compression is that it reduces the noise a little bit. So that's why I don't go. I mean, if I really wanted to, I could spend hours doing noise reduction and trying to make it look perfect. But I mean, it's just not. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm filming punk bands in small basements or lowly lit rooms, and I'm trying to get the stuff out as fast as I can. So I don't end up spending too much time. If it's like a big important set, or if it's part of a bigger project that I'm working on, then I'll definitely spend more time. But for stuff like this, I'm going to get it to roughly where I want it, and then, you know, that's good enough for me. Just going to answer some more questions here. What shows do I have lined up next? So that's a good question. So tomorrow in Philly, there's a band called Drowse. It's Drowse, Fixation, and Tantrum. I posted a video of Tantrum a couple weeks back on Instagram, and it got a lot of hits. So if you have not checked them out, they're a newish band from Jersey that I'm friends with. They're pretty good. And actually, all of those bands are pretty exciting. So I might go to that. Actually, Eric B. and Rakim are performing at the TLA in Philly. I wouldn't be allowed to shoot it, but I really want to go. So I'm trying to decide if I want to shoot a show tomorrow of bands that I've already recently filmed, or if I want to go take the night off and go see Eric B. and Rakim. And I'm kind of leaning towards the latter, but we'll see. Beyond that, I'm shooting Second Letter at the Barbary next Thursday. Second Letter is a newish post-hardcore band just outside of Philly. It's got members of Farside, Government Issue, original member of Inside Out, Rob Hayworth. They're really fucking good, and I really like those guys. And they have a record coming out soon, so I wanted to go out and shoot that. The 21st, I was asked to come out and shoot Revenge Season in Philly, so I might go to that. On the 22nd, I'm shooting H2O and Maximum Penalty. The 29th, I'm shooting Backtrack at Underground Arts. May 5th, I'm shooting the Mosh Against Addiction Left Behind show in Baltimore, I think. What else do I have? Oh, so I got an email today. So May 18th in Syracuse is Another Breath and If Hope Dies reunion. So I got the email today. I'm working with them to see if they can help bring me out to that in terms of helping with travel arrangements. But that should be a super cool show. I've only been to Syracuse once. I filmed one show there, and I really want to go back. So I'm hoping that works out. But that is May 18th. If you have not heard, let me find the information. I didn't hear about today, but I think it got announced yesterday. So it is. Where's it at? Okay. All right. It's Another Breath, If Hope Dies, Thoughts in Reverse, Coming Down, and Talk Wrong. Friday, May 18th at the Lost Horizon. And if you go to SyracuseShows.com, you should see it on their event. And tickets are between 12 and 15. And again, it's at the Lost Horizon in Syracuse on May 18th. So I'm going to try to be there because that would be a cool show to shoot. I'm not doing Outbreak Fest. Not because I don't want to. It's just a resource question. So I'm trying to build up the Patreon right now. If I can so right now the Patreon is about like 20% fund. Like I have a certain mental goal in my mind, like how much I want monthly in order for this to be realistic. So I'm about 20% of my goal. If I can get to like 100%, then I'm going to be more willing to literally fly wherever to travel wherever to film a show. Because right now I'm at a point where, like I'm trying to build up the subscribers to basically cover my basic living expenses. And once I reach that point, I would really love to use my disposable income to literally just, travel to, I'll travel to, if someone has a show in a basement that they really want to film in Kentucky, I will fly there in the middle of the week and film it and then come home and release it. And like, in an ideal world, that's where I'm going to get to. I really want to get to the point where I can, so I'm sort of geographically constrained to Philadelphia and like shows on the East Coast, but I would really like to get to the point where I have the freedom to just travel wherever to film bands and share the footage and help people find new music through these videos. So hopefully, if I can keep hacking away at it, I can get the Patreon and get sort of the support that I need to get to that point. So maybe next year I'll be in a position to literally fly out to Outbreak because I would really love to do it. Am I filming Born Low anytime soon? That's a good question. I haven't seen any upcoming shows. I don't know. I kind of go to things that are on my radar. So if I don't hear about it and it's not coming through my area, I'm less likely to go out to it. So if there's a Born Low show, upcoming show that you know about that I should, that you think I should shoot, let me know. Let me know where and when, and I'll see what I can do. How far would I drive to see Kitty? Is Kitty even active? I don't even know if they're still an active band. I mean, fuck it. If Kitty would let me film them, I would go shoot it. I will literally film any band that asks me to film, and so that includes Kitty. Like if Kitty was really all about a hate5six video, I would do it. So xagio3 says, okay, so Born Low I guess is having a new record coming out, so they probably will have a show. So I will be on the lookout for that. Let me make note of that. And actually, I've actually never filmed Born Low, which is kind of surprising. I'm doing a quick check now to see if there's any upcoming shows, but let's see. They don't have any events listed on their Facebook. Well, okay, so they announced that on April 20th, I guess, is a new record coming out. So we'll see. I try to film whatever people ask me to film, and so if enough people care about me shooting Born Low, I will definitely go out and do it. So I will be on the lookout for that. So what I'm doing here is, so I'm going back to basically this color correction. This is roughly where I want it. I mean, this is what it's like before. So this is literally how the video comes out of my camera. It's a little dark. Not much detail in the shadows, but if I apply this basic RGB adjustment, you can see a little bit more. So Todd Youth is the basis. If you look at his shirt, you can see a little bit more detail if I apply the RGB, if I turn the RGB curves back on. It brightens up the video a little bit more. At least how I've set this up. I've pulled down the blue a little bit. So here, if I pull the blues down all the way, it makes the video very like greenish, yellowish, which I don't want, but I do want a little bit. If I bump up the blues too much, it just, personally, I feel it has too much of like a sterile feel to it. So I like killing some of the blue. It makes the video feel a little bit warmer. I don't want it too green because that also just feels like that starts fucking with like the skin tones and people start looking green, and I don't want that. So I don't want to pull it down too much because then they start turning purple. So I try to bump it up a little bit, like around there. Same thing with the reds. I bump that up a little bit. So I'll show you what this looks like before and after. This is before. That's after. I'm going to scan through a little bit more just to see what we're looking at. Yeah, so I mean, roughly this is what I'm going to leave it at. I'm going to leave it at this. Yeah, I mean, there is some, I mean, if you look really closely, you'll see noise here. But I'm not going to kill myself over fixing that stuff. Like I said, if I bump the master channel too high, it's just going to over accentuate it. So I'm going to bump it up just a little bit from what it comes out at. So we're looking at something like this. I'm going to full screen it. That's not bad. I might adjust the brightness and contrast a little bit. That can sometimes help with the noise. So if I zoom in here, you can see a lot more of the noise in the pants. So what happens is if I adjust the if I adjust the brightness and contrast, you know, if I don't want to go too, I don't want to bump the contrast too much because that just kills all the detail in the shadow. I really don't want that. So something like just a little bit, maybe the brightness. I don't know. It's like it's a balancing act. You don't want to lose too much. You want to adjust for some of the noise, but you don't want to lose too much detail at the same time. So that's a decent shot. So this is kind of where we're at. I have the audio muted right now. That's why you can't hear it. But like I said, once I upload this and it gets compressed, the noise isn't gonna be as noticeable as it is here. What's up, 215 Live? Thank you for the $5 donation. Trying to. Oh, cool! I got it. I just saw it in the PayPal. So thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. Oh, and actually, that was my first donation through Streamlabs. So thank you. I remember I set up a Streamlabs account like a couple of weeks back when I joined Twitch, and I forgot to do anything with it. So I'm glad to see that it's actually doing what it's meant to do. So that's cool to see. Thank you. What's up, Jeremy? I think Jeremy Davis was in the chat. Yeah, so Jeremy was telling me about, oh, he signed off, but just want to say thank you, Jeremy, for pledging on Patreon. I just got the notification, so thank you so much. So what I'm going to do now is I have these settings that I've done for FIREBURN, basically the audio and visual adjustment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save these. I'm going to highlight all these changes that I've made, and I'm going to save them as a preset. I'm just going to call it FIREBURN at Underground Arts. And so later on, once I'm editing the Kill Your Idols videos and the other videos from the night, I'm basically going to apply the same settings. And so the process will be much, much faster. So as a last... So basically, this video is basically done. The last step that I have to do is I have to add in the band logo and the opening title screen. Luckily, I already have the band. So I filmed FIREBURN back in October. It was at the Rabies tribute show in New York. That's a fun show. If you haven't checked that out, if you search for FIREBURN on either hate5six or on my YouTube channel, you'll see it. It was an outdoor show. It was really cool. It was a beautiful day out, and people were just like having a lot of fun outside. So thankfully, I already have the FIREBURN logo, so I'm just going to import that here. Just give me a second, and you'll see it. So basically, every video opens up with this title screen. It's literally just the band logo, followed by the venue name and the location and date of the show. So this is just like standard boilerplate. Every video has this. So last step is always basically just to add in the band logo. And then I center everything. And then I need to add in, basically I want to fade everything in. So I'm going to turn the audio back on just so I can make sure I'm fading in at the right spot.
much for that. Good night.
And so that's basically it. We're good to go. So again, just to recap, so editing these videos, basically I do EQ, parametric EQ, compression and mastering on the audio, and I do a little bit of RGB correction on the image, and that's basically it. And then I add in fade-in titles. Typically, this doesn't take me an hour to do. So I've been streaming for an hour. That's because I've been stopping to explain what I'm doing and also answer questions. But typically, a video like this, where it's one camera and no soundboard, it takes me maybe 20 minutes to 25 minutes to focus on and get it right. And then that's just for the headliner for that show. And then I apply those settings to the openers, and I do a little bit of tweaks on those. So the openers end up taking less time to do. So this is basically done. I need to export this, and then it'll be ready to be added to the release queue. That's basically it. Nihil Geist is asking, is it hate5six or hate6? No, it's 5. It's the number 5. So the reason is I grew up in New Jersey, where the area code, so my phone number area code at the time when I was growing up was 856, the number 8, the number 5, the word 6. So hate5six is literally just it's a way for me to pay respect to where I'm from in New Jersey. It's hate5six. That's all I got for now. Oh shit, I don't know who Captain Flannel is, but Captain Flannel is in the house. I'm about to sign off. I'm gonna go. I'm doing an interview tonight with Museum of Punk. I don't know if they have a web stream. Let me see. Museum of Punk. They're based in Philly. But I have to go in at 8 o'clock for. They're doing like an interview about hate5six. They're letting me pick 15 to 20 songs to play on the radio. So I sent them a list of songs, and I think they got them. So I'm supposed to show up tonight, and we're just going to talk music, which I'm pretty excited about. I don't know. So I don't know if this is going to be a pre-recorded thing that they're going to release later, or if it's a live thing. If it's live, I'll tweet a link or something just so people can tune in if they want, if people really care enough to hear. Otherwise, I'm assuming it's going to be recorded and released at a later date, so then I will also tweet about it then. But anyway, I'm going to sign off for now. Like I said, if you're just joining, these streams are going to be pretty regular. I'm going to basically live stream whenever I'm editing videos, and that's a way for viewers to see, get like a sneak peek of upcoming shit. They can ask me questions about upcoming shows or ask me questions about editing, whatever you want. Yeah, so hopefully this becomes like a thing that people enjoy, because like I said, this is 2018 is the 10th year of hate5six, and people don't realize that it's literally just me. It's been my baby that I've been doing for literally 10 years now. It's crazy. So I'm trying to do more just to sort of peel back the curtain and show people how the site works and how stuff gets done, because it's sort of been a black box for a while. And so I'm hoping people find it interesting how these videos are produced and sort of my thought process and how I go about doing everything. But anyway, thanks for tuning in, and I will catch you guys soon.